Hey guys, welcome to another video. Doing something a bit different today. We're going to be looking at the new upcoming September updates. I'm joined today by Remi and Haark, and we're going to discuss. In fact, you guys introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself and which systems you're in. Remi?
Okay, start. So I'm Remi, Scar Headhunter in Tier, 18 years old, and a French guy.
Okay, and Haark?
I'm Haark, TYR also. I'm from UK and I'm 23.
There we go. So dating profiles there for lonely hearts. They have a good sense of humours and like long walks on the beaches. So let's jump straight into it. We've got a lot to discuss. We're going to save the big one, the multi-warband, for the very end because that could be the most contentious. We're just going to fly through the other announcements and see what these guys think, good or bad. So finally, the huge changes to warband losses. We're getting equal losses throughout everybody in the warband. Good change, bad change, long overrated. What do we think, Remi?
Good change because it means that the people who came first in the warband and said things first will not be screwed, because often in warband, in big warbands, there's a lot of loss. It's not a bad thing, but in things like 3 or 4 man warband for small things or small people, not a big K30. Then the first one to add tanks is often the only one to have losses. So the only one to have perma losses and have thing to heal. So equal loss is good, because it means even if you're the first to join the warband and the more engaged, it doesn't mean you will be the only one screwed.
Haark, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm one of the kind of lower keep players in TYR. I'm keep 23, and for me, as a majority free-to-play player, joining warbands is always a risk, especially when you're putting like your Chaos Warriors as Inch or any other real tanking units up front as your meat for the warband. You know you're going to suffer losses, especially in those big warbands. And I think for me, knowing that my Chaos Warriors as Inch or what have you aren't going to take the brunt of the losses and it will be spread across everyone, is going to make a massive change. And I think it'll help all the kind of smaller players maintain the amount of units they have without losing them, unnecessarily. And as Remi said, the first people who join the warband always tend to be at the moment the people who make and have losses. So I definitely think the fact that it'll now be spread will mean there'll be more engagement in joining them in the first place.
Yep, should be good. I'm looking forward to it. Next up, quickly flying through these because there's not too much on them. New units. We've got no stats. We don't really know much about them. They're going to be Beastmen, and now they're going to be tier 4, and there's 4 types, 1 for each god, Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, Siege. I'm going to say I'm a little bit disappointed with this one. I was really hoping Beastmen was going to be a new, unit of its own, and you're going to have undivided, the 4 gods and Beastmen on top, and we're going to get new gear, new warlords. I feel like it's a missed opportunity to just stick back with their own laurels. So I was disappointed with this, but what do you guys? Haark, should we start with you this time? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Definitely, it feels almost like they've just kind of thrown it to us as here you are. There's some new units. Not really much thought gone into it. I definitely don't think they should be mixed across the different gods. Beastmen, lore-wise, are mainly undivided, if anything, with aspects of certain ones being favoured by gods, but mainly undivided. The fact that there isn't an undivided option is disappointing lore-wise, definitely for me. And yeah, it all kind of just feels like it's been thrown together. There's not really much planning or thought gone behind it. I definitely don't think.
Remi?
Honestly, I'm a bit disappointed too. I think they missed the chance to bring more equality in the unit type, like infantry, cavalry, and monsters. Beastmen with units like Goreboard or Santigors were the opportunity to bring really strong cavalry and infantry 45, but they missed the mark, made T4 units. Well, knowing the devs are devs once again. What did we expect?
Yeah, I think in the future I might do what would people like, actual suggestions that players suggest that are really good, that seem to always get overlooked, for the likes of Ulthuan or things like that. But let's keep flying through, and we'll move on to new Tzeen Warlord. Everyone knew it was coming next. There's no information about the stats. There's no information about what it's going to do. And to be fair, everyone's so preoccupied with the big warband changes, with march it changes with multi-warlords, that does anyone care anymore about what it's going to be? Will it matter? Remi?
Honestly, don't think they will matter a lot, since we will talk about it later, but with the multi-warlord, don't think this type of warlord and there will be a place for them, since Velith is a thing. Just Velith is so good, so I don't think they will have a place for a T5 warlord. Maybe for a T4, for T Knights, or Primers maybe, but not for a T5 warlord. Kinda like Karanak.
Unless it's got Fortress Combat bonus. If it has Fortress Combat bonus, then oh my. Maybe. What do you think, Haark?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think it needs to be similar to what you've got for like the Nurgle, but that everyone rocks the defense. I think a defensive Tzeen Warlord that gives melee damage bonus would be nice. Perhaps, a fully defensive Tzeen Warlord would be a good addition. I definitely think for melee damage for Tzeen Warlords, the only real one you've got is the Changeling, and it's subpar in comparison to, as Remi said, your Village and your Lord of Change for your March bonuses and such. I think that's the only way that this Tzeen Warlord's going to really impact anything. Aside from that, it's just going to be an added bonus, if anything. Nothing really important, but just throw an add.
Yeah. Like I said, the only stat in my head I was thinking, if there was Fortress Combat bonus, that would really get people spending, because people are going to be desperate to get that in their base setup, because I don't think there's a Warlord with that at the moment, and you're going to need it with these incoming warbands. Okay, let's fly through. Next up, only minor change, so we don't need to say much. Alliance trade limit increased again. I mean, it's nowhere near where it needs to be, but I mean, we're slowly getting there. But I'm gonna fly through that. It's not particularly too exciting. So the thing that I want to talk about, the big thing, is multi warlord marches. So they've said, quickly I'll fly through what the update said. People will be able to select up to 3 of these warlords for both marches and warbands. You'll have to unlock them in the which ritual tree? The mastery tree, the boring one with extra marches in anyway, and you will be able to learn one ritual to have 2 warlords, and then a third one to have 3 warlords. And how it's going to work is you choose 1, 2, or 3 warlords, and then you go into the another window. If you can see on the screen on the left hand side, you get a list of each warlord with every single bonus that they have, and you have a tick box menu, and you go down and you select the stats that you want from the 3 available warlords. You cannot have the same buff twice, but I mean, in effect, you're going to be able to break their system a little bit, in that if you have infantry attack damage and you have con attack damage, then you're going to be able to overlap kind of by getting rid of it. I mean, there's going to be so many options. I've spent so much time doing my graphics for this. I'm more relying on these 2 guys to give us some where we're going to get broken in the game. But yeah, you can't have the exact same worded text. So you could not have Tzeen range damage and Tzeen range damage. Yeah, but you could have Chariot's range damage and Tzeen range damage, or whatever is out there and available. And you will be able to choose these, send them off, and choose up to 4 buffs, so you pretty much get the legendary bonus for your marches. And yeah, customization. They haven't said this for defense yet, have they? They've only said for warbands and for marches.
But for defense
yeah, it's only on offense, yeah.
Oh, sad time. I mean, if I remember when they were talking about this originally, they said it would also be for defenses. So I mean, this is going to be just a time of carnage where you're just not going to be able to defend anything. So just first thoughts, Haark.
I think it's very controversial. I think the whole, fact that it's not going to be available for defense as well is, as you say, it's going to cause carnage for the first section. I think they will very quickly realise that it was a bad idea not to do it for defence as well, and that it made defending nigh impossible. But it's going to be very overpowered for certain marches. I think definitely tier 5 marches and warbands are going to be massively affected by this. You're going to see, 12 million unit warbands with 4 buffs with Burning Chariots or Demon Princes of Slaanesh, and it's just going to be carnage. Even for the bigger players who are, 1 billion, 2 billion, they're going to take massive losses on defense, especially for Ulthuan, region versus region. It's going to add a lot more, as you say, carnage. I'm looking forward to seeing the reports of it. I'm definitely not looking forward to being on the defending side of it, that's for sure.
Remi, original first thoughts?
It's crazy. Just I did some math about the damage of Demon Prince of Slaanesh and Burning Chariot as an example. I think we'll see that later.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy. Just the damage per unit is unbelievable. And the bigger fact is that there is much combat bonus, but Caretaker, the Warlord, has Warband combat bonus, and the devs told us that can stack. So you can have 2 buffs, which buff every stat. So just it will be crazy, and all Warbands will be completely overpowered. For solo match, I think we'll talk about Warbands first and solo match after, because I have some things to do instead about solo match and things like light trapping, which can be changed thanks to that update.
I'll tell you one thing I've noticed recently with a lot of the updates, actually. I've noticed that the max health per tier for tier units has kind of remained similar. Like the best in slot tank's okay. Mutalisk got like a little bit of a tweak up, not massive. Beast of Nurgle's pretty much like remained the same for a long time. They tweaked up some of the tanks for the tier 3 stuff, but nothing's really got to the same heights as, say, I know they upgraded Biotrolls to be very similar to Chaos Warriors of Tzeentch, but the max health of units hasn't really improved. Other units have been brought up to the same bar, but it's pretty much remained the same. Damage per tier, however, the biggest damaging units seem to be creeping up now. The days of when Burning Chariots were putting the best output, a lot of people now are bringing out these big numbers for things like Suns, and the potential options. So it seems to be the damage is increasing, the health has remained the same, and now they've also going to have these huge warband buffs with major bonuses to attack. It's just going to be pandemonium. Remi did us some graphics, thank you very much, on Demon Prince of Slaanesh and Burning Chariot. So you want to talk us through the Demon Prince of Slaanesh first, Remi?
Across the last 2 updates, Demon Prince of Slaanesh had 2 buffs. The first one is a new gear, the Bestian Cloven Boots, which is a buff to Demon Prince of Slaanesh. And then you have the multi-Warband Warlord, so Sigval, but not Slaanesh in general, had a Warband Warlord. Things before that update is that if you don't have a Warlord with March combat bonus or Warband combat bonus, you can do a Warband, because it's so much broken. Now every faction has one, so Demon Prince of Slaanesh can reach crazy amount of damage. I think that 7,461, if I remember well, damage by units at the end if you're a top max player with all the right things. Previously this update, I think the biggest was Burning Chariot with 6,800 or something like that. So we are breaking the sky. We are going way too far in damage, and defense will be hard time. Don't mess up with your shield.
What do you think, Haark?
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, especially bringing it back to your point you made regarding, health not really changing much. I think that's definitely something they're going to have to look at. I don't think you can have units like your Burning Chariots and your Demon Princes of Slaanesh and even your Sons and Iflek doing the amount of damage they can do on these multi-warlord warbands or marchers, and then not have, anything that can actually withstand that damage in the game. I've touched on it earlier, but these multi-warlord warbands are going to be detrimental to things like Ulthuan and RVR, even with the bigger players. I mean, your players like Pawpaw and Tharon, to give shout-outs to the 2 probably biggest, most well-known, Keep 32 players that have been around the game since the start. they're still going to be not only dishing out massive damage, but even for how big they are, they will receive massive damage on the defense with this update. And I definitely think tier 5 warbands and endgame warbands are going to be massively affected by all of this.
Yeah, I mean, holding Ulthuan, that's going to be pretty tough now, isn't it?
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, I mean,
It'll be tougher than tough.
Yeah, Remi, going off your figures, that's 6,800 to 7,400, by the way, is just under a 10% increase of damage output on the Demon Prince of Slaanesh.
Yeah, that's 10% for each unit.
Mm.
You have the current warband cap is 13 million. It's way too crazy, and I think now it wouldn't surprise me if you can zero Telerum, for example, with only 2 or 3 top tier warbands. Mm-hmm. And Telerum is a 2 billion player, so it isn't normal.
I'm going to show up the Burning Chariot screen, so you want to talk us through the Burning Chariots? What's the difference on the damage we've got there?
Burning Chariots are technically still the strongest unit in the game. So, yeah, again, cinch meta. It's not by huge, I think that's something like 80 damage per unit, but still, across 13 million troops, so in the 30 million warband, you will probably have something like 8 million Burning Chariot and the rest as tanks. So, yeah, it will still do crazy damage, and yeah, no shift in the meta, except that now other units can still do something, but not will be the most efficient.
The Burning Chariot's going to have a huge bonus as well, in that you're only going to need Village and Skulltaker for that to work.
Yeah, because you have 4 buffs, and Village have 3 buffs.
Yeah, okay, whereas let me just check, the Demon Prince of Slaanesh build, we were talking about having 3, you needed Sigvald, Village, and Skulltaker.
Village or a Karanak or a Grot, the same, just for match common bonus.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, so I guess everybody is excited to see it in action, just not on themselves. Is that where the agreement we have here?
Yeah, I want to be the warbander. I want people to be warbanded.
No, definitely.
I mean, we're at war with WoW, so I mean, all these changes are going to be really good for us because we warband them all the time, and they never warband us. So we need these extra bonuses, right?
Yeah,
it'll make things a lot more interesting. Yeah, definitely make things a lot more interesting for us.
Right. Well, I'm probably going to. Anybody else have any final thoughts you want to say about any of the updates today, or anything in general?
I have something else to say. I don't have any of the devs told me something about that, but for Solo March, still a big update that you have 3 more roles. And especially, a thing that I don't know is if you choose 3 warlords, which one will be shown on the world map? And that don't seem like a big thing, but for things like tile trapping, it is. Imagine you see a tile, you're in a tile war, like us with war. You see a tile with, I don't know, a Shagot. You say, oh, it's reduced, I will attack that. And then on that tile, there's 2 other warlords with big buffs, and the Shagot is just a fake, a decoration, and you lose your entire match. It's really big. Because now, every time the danger.
More tactical, I guess. It can be interesting. You can play, just send out some rubbish common warlord out to try and trick people. Hey, I just have something rubbish defending. Don't come and attack me. Yeah, then behind him's 2 bigger warlords. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that, because they've not really said whether it's going to be the strongest or the first person you click in, or if it's going to be the lowest. The only thing they have said is the first one to die in combat will be the lowest. So, who knows? Haark, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, with the the lowest one being the first to die, I don't think that's really, as Remi said, going to make much of a difference, because with certain marshes, you're just going to have that as your decoration warlord, if you will. And if that is something that is doable, it's going to make tile trapping in Ulthuan, and especially for us with us being at war with WoW at the moment, We are tile hitting at the moment, so it's going to make tile trapping a very viable option for our bigger players or even for our mid-level players. And it's going to cause a lot of perma damage. I think that's something they're definitely going to have to look at, because it will change the way we can play the game and play on offense and defense in certain ways.
Mm-hmm. Right, well, it comes to me to thank Remi and Haark for spending some time and going through this stuff, because it's much more interesting than just me babbling on about stuff. And please hit the like, subscribe, comment if you like this type of content, if you want to see it more, or if you think it's horrific and you never want to see us ever again. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.